This tank started as an experiment, an aquarium where I didn't need to do maintenance or intervene. It has gone 10 months without a water change, and as the ecosystem establishes, it has become more and more stable. However, I'm going to replace it. Why? Well, I have a few issues with it. First, the scape has too many elements on the foreground, blocking the view. With shy fish like neon tetras, they spend a lot of time on the back, where I can barely see them. The second issue is the height makes it harder for light to reach the plants at the bottom. The plants near the surface receive most of the light, so they have grown a lot, blocking light from those below. With all of that in mind, let's get started. I began by removing the floating plants, then the ceratophyllum at the surface. Look at this kabomba, it is tall and thin, because it prioritized upward growth rather than density. This water wisteria grew horizontally in search of light. Barely any algae has grown thanks to the amount of plants absorbing nitrates and the low bioload. With fewer plants, I quickly realized there are far more shrimp than I thought. This big rock has annoyed me since the beginning. It blocks a lot of the background, and the neons always hide behind it. They seem a bit spooked without it. The shrimp are not as shy. This one even got a free ride on top of a snail. Not the fastest way to travel, but it'll get there. Eventually. I removed the driftwood. All of this is releasing a lot of debris, which could cause an ammonia spike, so I need to be quick. I finished removing the plants. And finally, this Amazon sword. Look at how big those roots are. It shows how established this tank is after zero intervention. Now that the tank is empty, I can catch everyone in it. After acclimating them, I released the neons into my 200-liter tank. They seem to enjoy the extra space. Catching the shrimp took much longer. Shrimp after shrimp after shrimp, I caught all of them. Then I siphoned the water out. That's one ugly tank, but that's why I'm replacing it. The new tank just arrived, so let's start with the new build. It has a cleaner look, a better light, and way more space, 120 liters. I started by placing mesh on the bottom to prevent the gravel from spreading forward over time. I sloped it toward the back to create depth. I made it as steep as possible to improve visibility and make it feel more open. The thicker layer will also form anaerobic zones, spots with very little oxygen which show specific bacteria that break down nitrates. I made the substrate layer quite thick to maintain the slope and give plants enough room to develop big roots and access nutrients long term. I mixed in substrate from the old tank, already with beneficial bacteria to give the cycle a head start. I pushed the substrate away from the front edge so it's not visible from the front. Before adding the sand, I'll set up the hardscape. Placing the rocks first lets them act as retaining walls, keeping the slope steep without everything slowly shifting forward over time. With the rocks in place, I temporarily place the driftwood on top to check the composition and make sure it fits. I removed the driftwood and added a thin layer of sand. Thick enough to contain the nutrients, keep the water clear, and prevent ammonia spikes from organic material, but thin enough that plant roots can still reach the nutrient substrate underneath. Then I placed the driftwood back in. I boiled it to remove excess tannins and help it get waterlogged. I didn't want to risk it floating, so I glued it to the rocks with aquarium-safe glue. With that, the hardscape is done. Now, it's time to bring this aquarium to life. I started with the Amazon sword from the old tank, then I added cryptocorynes, a lot of them. In my experience, planting big rooted plants before adding water helps prevent the substrate from coming up and mixing with the sand. I filled the background with kabomba. It grows very fast and is a great indicator of the amount of nutrients. All of these plants will improve the water quality, provide cover and visual breaks for fish, and overall be extremely beneficial for the ecosystem. It's time to fill up the aquarium. I added a piece of plastic over the sand so the water doesn't carve a hole into it. I always use a mix of dechlorinated tap water and purified bottled water to get a specific hardness. To calculate the ratio, I use this formula. This tank will have multiple species, so a GH of 6 should be a good middle ground. It looks like a few hitchhikers made their way into the tank. I leave them there though. They'll earn their place cleaning up waste and algae. About a month later, the cycle is complete, so let's add fish. First, a group of young corydoras. They look tiny in here. They'll have a lot of open space to roam. Next, a group of ember tetras. They're very pale from the stress of the move. They quickly found the cories and decided to gather with them on this shaded corner. Over the next hour, they started exploring. Slowly, their color came back. The corydoras were comfortable almost immediately and started grazing everywhere. With this much space, there's room for more fish, so I added a few young neon tetras. Pale and stressed, as expected. I also moved the harlequin rasboras from my last video into the tank. Interestingly, the harlequins and the embers started schooling together, even though they're different species. Meanwhile, the neons formed their own separate group. It's amazing to finally see this tank come to life and watch all the fish do their own things. This corydora found the lily and claimed it as a pet. It looks pretty comfortable. For a couple of days, everything looked perfect, until I noticed the neon tetras looked pale. What could be going on? Before I could figure it out, one of them died. Over the following hours, the neons started acting weird, swimming slowly and losing their color. Then they started dying one by one. This was very sad and frustrating. Ammonia and nitrites remained at 0, and the rest of the parameters were normal too. The other fish seemed completely fine. I had no explanation. Maybe they were already weak from the store, and the stress of moving to a new tank finally caught up to them. And when only 2 were left, oh no, is that ick? The stress of whatever was killing them weakened this neon's immune system enough for the parasite to infect it. I removed it immediately, but I wasn't quick enough. This ember tetra got infected. Suddenly, the filter stopped working. The timing couldn't have been worse. I immediately went to my local fish shop and replaced it, using the media cylinder from the old filter to preserve all of the beneficial bacteria. I also got a heater. Even though the water stays warm where I live, I slowly raise the temperature to 30 degrees to speed up the parasite's life cycle, making it die faster before spreading further. I closely monitored the tank over the next few days. Thankfully, the infection stopped. Over the next few weeks, the tank finally reached total stability. The Cabomba has filled the background. The cryptocorynes became much bigger. The moss took over the driftwood. The ember tetras and harlequin rasboras are still friends and schooling together. And the cories are always grazing on the front. The horizontal layout of the tank changed everything. Fish have more space to swim, light reaches every plant, and the tank looks open while still having lots of cover. Every week, this tank gets a little more stable and a little more self-sufficient. The neon tetras never got to see this tank at its best, but in a way, they were part of getting it there. And a reminder that in this, like in anything you care about, things don't always go according to plan. But that doesn't mean they won't still turn into something beautiful. That's everything for now. If you want to see how this tank ends up in the future, subscribe. Thank you for watching until the end.